Okay, here I am on this freezing cold January morning. I'm going to be doing a quick buyer's guide on the Alfa 147s. They are getting quite rare on the roads in the UK now, surprisingly enough, as they're sort of approaching 15 years old. So I'll give you a quick walk around and tell you the pitfalls of owning a 147. So enjoy. Okay, starting at the front. Front bumpers, just make sure that the front grills are secure because they do have a tendency to fall out. No major problems with the headlights other than side light bulbs going, and they can be a right pain to change, but if you know how to do it, they are relatively straightforward. Front badges fade. This one's pretty good, but again they're only about £15 to replace, so it's quite a straightforward repair, that one. Front grille slats can fall off, but again grills are quite cheap to buy brand new. The only issue is you've got to take the whole bumper off to change the grille. Alloy wheels, pretty good. Some do tend to corrode. Watch out for tyre wear on the inner and outside edge due to tracking or bad wishbones, so you do need to make sure that the wishbones are okay and you're not going to be squeaking over suspension. Door handles, they do tend to fail quite a lot. The hinge on this side of the door handle does tend to snap, and when a passenger grabs the door handle, that can pull the whole door handle off in the hands. You can get a replacement door handle for around £45 to £60, or if it's just the hinge that's broken, you can get some of those off eBay and they're about £12. But the door card does have to come off to repair it. One of the only rust spots on 147s on the bodywork tends to be down on the bottom of the wings where stone chips occur, and it starts to make it rust. See, that's going a little bit there, but again, this is a 15-year-old car, and if that's all you can complain about, then that's really good. Overall, on the exterior of a 147, there's not that much that can actually go wrong. They are pretty reliable cars, and very underrated cars in my opinion, because back in the day you get a lot of kit on them that you never got on cars as standard. I mean, the equivalent sort of BMWs and Ford Mondeos and Ford Focuses, you didn't get half the kit on them that you do on these. You get cruise control, you get leather seats, you got really comfy leather steering wheel, and some models you can even get auto lights and wipers. Onto the interiors now. You do get a few faults in here. The window switches can fail. They're about £45 to replace. You can normally find that the switch contacts break and the switch wobbles around a bit. Heated seats, when you get a car with heated seats, the heated seat switch can sometimes fail. Again, you can buy those for about £40 brand new. And onto the inside, where it's a little bit warmer. The dials on the heater controls can sometimes go all blurry and they can bleed out. As you can see, this one's done the same, so I'll be changing that. It's just when the cold gets to it, no more than anything, that can create that. On the dashboard, you can get dashboard warning lights on. Normally airbag. What people tend to do is have the ignition on and then pull the seats backwards and forwards, and that can yank on the airbag connectors and bring the airbag warning light on. Again, that's quite easy to reset. You just need a computer with the right software to do that. Another thing which happens is the mileage can start flashing. That's normally because something's been placed. It's been replaced. It's either the the heater unit here has been replaced, or the window switch has been replaced, or worst case the binnacle's been replaced, and then that will start flashing at you. But again, a quick computer connects and you can reset all that. Steering wheel controls can wear off and wear away, and you can start to get black chip in there. On the later versions they were sort of set flush and they tended to wear a little bit less. Radios aren't very good in this day and age. Just pull that out or stick another one in. The codes are available quite easily. If you do need one of those, send me a message and I can get you a code for you. But the radios are not that good, to be honest, so you're better off just pulling it out and putting a better unit in. Onto other electrical problems. You can get ECU fault with the body control computer not recognising the key, and also it'll leave a rear tail light on or indicator on. That's normally meaning that the body computer's failing, and you need a replacement ECU set. You can get them from sort of between £70 and £150 on eBay, and they are quite easy to change. It's about an hour's labour, and you can change the engine ECU, the body control computer, and the internals of the key. Okay, something else to check out for when you are looking at a 147 is when you start the engine up from cold. Obviously make sure you've got no warning lights on there. Make sure let's show you again there, look. Your airbag light and your ABS light lights up and then goes out. When the engine starts, listen for a rattle from the engine bay. It should sound like that with no diesel noise at all. So this car is actually due a cam belt, but the variator is still really good for a 53,000 mile car. Other problems are up here. You can suffer with them breaking here and these clips breaking here. They are getting quite hard to get a hold of now because they are that common with braking. But on the inside of 147s, they do hold up pretty well. The leather in them is a good quality, and it comes in different colours. You can get tan, you can get white, which is very rare, black and red interiors. Gear knob can start to suffer with wear, normally around the outsides up there. But other than that, 147s are a pretty good car to own. Another major problem you suffer with on 147s and the Alfa Romeo GTs are wiper linkages. They are very stubborn to get off. What you find is people will pull on the wiper arm and snap, the linkage will break. You need to use a special tool to remove the wiper arms, or you do risk snapping the linkage, and they cost anything from sort of £50 to £150 for new ones. So you new £150 roughly, and used ones you can normally pick them up for about £50 on eBay. Now the Alfa Romeo twin spark engine, I've always found it to be quite a reliable engine when serviced correctly. If you leave these bad boys and you don't change the oil regularly and you don't change the cam belt, you will pay for it. The cam belts need to be changed every 36,000 miles or 3 years, and I would change the oil every 6,000 to 8,000 miles. I wouldn't leave it any longer because it does tend to get quite carbonised up. Other regular problems you can suffer with ECU faults, but I will talk about that more when we're inside the car. Engine mounts can fail, mainly this one here. You can rock the engine backwards and forwards. The covers for the exhaust can corrode away and start vibrating and rattling. Variators are quite common for going, so when you start the car up from cold you'll hear a rattle for a few seconds. It sounds a bit diesely. If it goes away once the car's warmed up, it is normally the variator. Still carrying on with suspension issues on the 147. This is the troublesome top wishbone. If you leave this too long knocking, it can wear through the mount and you'll need to replace the mount as well as the wishbone. They're not too hard to replace. You can do them in sort of 25-45 minutes. As long as nothing's seized. Once you do change all your suspension, I would definitely recommend getting your tracking done, because you can quite find as soon as you've changed all your wishbones you'll start to wear your tyres out, or you won't be travelling in a straight line. That's the underside of 147s. Okay, let's just start at the back. Regular problems that you see on these is quite typical with most cars. The rear shockers can snap. This one has actually just been replaced. As you can see, some of my dirty finger marks on there. This side has been replaced not too long ago. So other things they suffer from is the exhaust rusting, and this one isn't too bad. It does have some crusty bits on it, but it's not too bad. The rear bars can have bush failure, and they can get knocking from them. You do really need to watch out for rusty suspension, because they do tend to be quite hard to see the rust. So you need to have a good inspection on those. Other problems with the 147 back end. Exhaust hangers can rust and fall off. This one isn't the best either, but it's still pretty strong, easy enough to repair. Underside you can suffer quite badly with rust. This is a low mileage car. I think it's spent a lot of time in the garage, to be honest, because there's not much rust at all. They do tend to rust from this area here all across there, and you can get rust down the edges of the chassis there. Same on both sides. This car is perfectly fine. There's very little rust on it. Okay, oxygen sensors on the exhaust can fail quite regularly. The 2 litre twin spark engine does tend to suffer the most, and it's normally the one on this cat here that goes. Subframes start to rust on them if they're not looked after. You can see this is only a 53,000 mile car, so it is in pretty good shape. Another major problem 147s, GTs and 156s suffer with is suspension components. They tend to be made of cheese, and the bushes don't last very long at all. You can get bush sets off eBay, not bush sets, sorry, wishbone sets off eBay for about £100, but I would avoid those at all costs, because within 30 days, as soon as your eBay warranty is expired, they will start to fall apart and start knocking again. I tend to buy all my parts, being Berth the brand, they do tend to last quite well. I haven't had many problems with them. So mainly when you're buying a 147 is test the suspension out over some bumps, drop off some low curbs, and see if you hear some squeaking. Anti-roll bar bushes, which are hidden up there, which you're not going to be able to see, they can tend to go as well. It can be a bit of a nightmare to change those. You do need to drop the subframe to see and get access to the bushes. Onto servicing. They are dead easy to service. The hardest part on these is the air filter. It's wedged all the way up in there. You've got very limited access to it, and a lot of non-Alfa specialists do tend to skip the air filter because they can be a bit of a pain to change. So just make sure that that has been done, and you can visibly check it underneath and make sure it's a nice bright orange colour when it's changed.